All right, welcome to Frontline, 6 o'clock here on the East Coast, and it's a whole lot better here than it is in Iran, where the internet has been cut or restricted. Massive fires at government buildings as the death toll from the protests has reportedly climbed to 45. Has the government fallen? Well, we don't know yet, but we're going to keep an eye out for you. Also, in D.C., staff members of powerful House committees had their emails reportedly compromised by a Chinese hacking group. Staffers from the Foreign Affairs Intelligence Committee, the Armed Services Committee, all were hit by this. And the architect of the new White House ballroom says the plans call for the addition to match the height of the existing White House and would include a second floor. Keep crying, libs. But first, prominent Democrat influencers calling for doxing ICE agents. Do not underestimate what will happen if you come to these ICE agents' homes. Let's do this. Do not. I mean, like, here we go, baby. I told you yesterday this was going to be like George Floyd 2.0. And last night, look, nothing burned down, but thousands did gather in multiple cities to protest ICE. In Minneapolis, the cops allegedly also received a stand-down order, even hung up on a journalist calling for help when he was being chased.
Okay, so they're not coming to this location, correct? I have to go and find them myself.
If you're not going to answer my question, are you going to go to a different location?
I mean, I'm being chased down the road. What do you want from me? I have to go. What location do I need to go to?
You're going to have to go to a different location if you'd like to be. Okay, I'm going to disconnect.
And then she just hung up. And the talking points also, they've gone out. Here, anything to make this woman seem like she was the victim. All those highlighted things right there. You see, legal observer, legal observer, legal observer. It's a key buzzword they're using. That's supposed to gloss over the fact that she tried to run over a federal agent, by the way. See, this is the issue. You can call her whatever you want. It doesn't matter because of her actions. She always had the right to, I don't know, not drive her car into the middle of an ICE convoy and then try to run someone over, but she wanted to. And look at how the AP frames this today. Mother of three, poet and new to the city. I'm sorry. Here's an award for the worst mother of the year. If you're a mother of three, especially with no father in the picture, what the hell are you doing obstructing ICE agents? You should be at home with them, or at a minimum, considering their well-being before you almost ran over an agent with your car. I mean, like, what did you think was good? Like, you're just going to drive away after that if you didn't get shot? At a minimum, you would be caught and you would go to jail. I said this yesterday, but it's worth repeating. I'm so impressed with the level of command support for this officer, and it's gone all the way up to the White House. J.D. Vance, thankfully, reiterated this today.
What I'm certain of is that that officer had every reason to think that he was under very serious threat for injury or in fact, his life. What I'm certain of is that she accelerated in a way where she ran into the guy. I don't know what was in her heart and what was in her head, but I know that she violated the law, and I know that officer was acting in self-defense.
Yes. Thank you, J.D. Vance, okay? This is a military guy. I'm not sure it's clocking with these libs, but this enforcement operation is not slowing down. ICE is not going to just pick up and leave because Jacob Frey tells them to get the F out. I mean, have you not been paying attention to how Trump operates for the last 10 years? Who has he ever backed down from? Certainly not some skinny lib in corduroys, which is why J.D. Vance announced today that the DOJ is actually doubling down and opening an entire branch to root out the fraud from the in-part illegals in Minnesota that ICE is picking up.
We have actually activated a major interagency task force to make it possible to get to the heart of this fraud. We are creating a new Assistant Attorney General position who will have nationwide jurisdiction over the issue of fraud.
Yep, make it rain. This all comes down to the fact that this fraud scheme in Minnesota, I mean, that's why this all started. Because we found out through a 23-year-old YouTuber that billions were being funneled through daycares and healthcare companies and ride schemes, many of which were associated with illegal Somalians. But more broadly, this is literally the bedrock, I've come to find out, of the Democrats' power machine. In more states than just Minnesota, by the way. It's becoming increasingly more obvious that the Democrat Party can only stay in existence by bribing people to vote with government benefits, importing illegals that are auto-registered to vote with driver's licenses that are given to illegals, fraud, and buying votes through NGOs. You can always tell how close you are to like hovering over the target by the level of freak out from the left. Now remember, they impeached Trump over the Ukraine phone call. Well, it turns out that was because Trump was actually on to Biden's crooked stuff in Ukraine. January 6th, where they impeached him again, they were questions with voting in that election. We see this in Georgia now coming actually true. 315,000 uncertified votes that they counted and had to cover it up, so they implanted 274 FBI assets in a crowd and staged a riot. They blamed Trump. They hired a famous TV producer to cover a sham committee appointed against every congressional norm in the history of America, broadcasted false statements and one-sided testimony, and then, oops, deleted all the evidence and pardoned the entire committee. Why? Because Trump was right over the target. And they were fighting for their political survival and also to stay out of jail. Just like right now in Minnesota. These people are crooked as the hind leg on a jackrabbit. And when you peel the first layer off this game, possibly $9 billion or more is missing. No wonder they will do anything, including encouraging people to oppose and put their bodies on the line to oppose federal agents that are trying to take down their syndicate. I would ask, actually, is it really a bridge too far for me to say, like, that maybe these Democrats are hoping their city burns down to take the story off the fraud that's been going on there for years? I don't think so. And they're willing to go on the offense, too. They just published the names and even addresses of thousands, 14,000 ICE agents. Now people like Waltz come out and say, oh, I never said anything radical.
They've determined that the actions are done. I don't know. I've not used inflammatory terms of what happened. I've asked us to find the answers.
Tim, can I just refer you to your own words yesterday?
I said this yesterday. We've never been at war with our federal government.
Implying yesterday that he was, in fact, at war with the federal government. People like Timmy need this to spiral, though. They're using a bunch of purple-haired freaks and people with pretty much nothing to lose who are really going to get hurt in the process of this. People like this.
Does anybody know why we're given the Second Amendment right? Google it. It's to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. That's true. The police are supposed to be on our side, fighting, pointing their guns at the government. It's the facts. It's not for hunting. It's not for self-defense. It's to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. It don't get no worse than this.
You can't make, like, the NRA is going to call that guy to do their next commercial. This is like, all of a sudden the libs are for the second. See, it's guys like that, though, that are just so stupid. They're being concocted into this liberal movement on their behalf, and they're the ones who are going to get hurt or even killed if he does what he's suggesting in that video. Then also, in what world do you think doxing ICE agents would be even a remotely good idea? Do you realize what you're doing? I mean, let's just think this through logically here. Here you go. Some 5-foot-tall internet troll is going to dox people like ICE agents, people like me. I mean, like, how's that going to play out? You see, you think you're tough because you're with some mob on the street against some agents throwing snowballs at them or whatever else. But you've doxed people. Now you're advocating for people to come to my home with my family and my kids there. Let me tell you, as someone who's dealt very violently with a home invasion personally, I fought harder in that brief encounter than I ever did in Iraq. For these agents or anyone who might have to deal with people coming into their homes, there's no rules. This won't be tear gas being fired at them. These are going to be real bullets coming fast. Because when you're defending your family, you don't care about rules. You don't care about laws and what might happen if. You only caring about killing what's coming through your door. Anyone who's ever seen combat knows this and can relate. When you are trained for this too, it has a unique way of kicking in these circumstances. And you're in your own home. You're on your own turf with your children's lives at stake. So I am pleading with these people not to go to these agents' homes for their own safety, for liberals' sake, not for the agents' sake. Because if it was me, again, speaking from experience here, you think the mob's going to protect you? Ask the 4 kids who got free trips to the ER who broke into my house. A trained agent or officer or military guy, we're going to drop like 15 of you people before you even figure out what's going on. And I bet you're going to rethink showing up at an officer's house after you have a hole in your chest. You think these people, and honestly, people like me who are also a target, you think we're aggressive now? You think we're the... Wait till you threaten our families. You have no idea how hard we'll fight. There's no mercy or standard or remote version of humanity you will experience if you show up at my house and threaten my children. I'm not saying this to, start a fight. I'm pleading with you, libs. Stop it. Because that's the line. You keep up this rhetoric, there's going to be carnage, and not on our side. Let's head over to the host of Sunday Report, Jon Glasgow, who's live on the ground in Minnesota. Jon, you're out by the blockade where this, actually, you're out by the courthouse now. You were at the blockade earlier. What's the mood down there?
Yeah, Carl, to echo everything that you just said, I want to give your viewers an idea of what's happening here. This is the ICE detention center here in Minneapolis, and you've got HSI agents standing here for about the last 3 hours, holding down the fort, making sure that nobody gets inside. Now, look over here. Pan over here, Ian, and have a show of what is happening. You've got these chants going, ICE out. They've been doing this, Carl, for the last, I would say, 20 minutes with this chant. But then before that, they got as close to the line, and the ICE agents pushed them right back on this side of the street. And this is going to be... They even started this at around 7 o'clock this morning. They had some people here trying to get into the ICE detention center. Clearly, that ain't going to happen. Now, I want to show you what happened earlier today because we got the Chief Border Patrol, Greg Bovino. He was on the streets himself. And this is what happened. Let's show this moment. Our Newsmax reporter, Joe Moeller, he was following along with Border Patrol in the ride. This crowd has been following us. This happened, with this moment when he tried to attack Gregory Bovino, and this is what ended up happening. They had a pretty aggressive arrest there of some of these agitators that were trying to follow the ICE agents on this operation mission. We've been all over Minneapolis today. We were downtown. We were also over by the vigil where all the chaos happened yesterday, and that scene there started to get even bigger and bigger throughout the day. More people. In fact, a lot of these agitators were starting to push the media away. And Carl, believe it or not, there was not one Minneapolis police officer on the scene around there, given all of the blockades that they had put up, these makeshift blockades that they had put in there with crates and garbage cans and you name it, bicycles, tires. They're trying to keep the ICE agents out with these makeshift homemade blockades. And now we got the tear gas going, man. Here we go. Here we go.
Jon, if you could back up, I don't want you to get that stuff in your eyes, man. That's some bad stuff. It looks like, things are going to heat up. We're going to keep this...
All right, I'm at a safe distance here, Carl, but I'm going to let this play out here for you. That's the first time I've seen shots since we've been here on the of this tear gas or these looks like they've got some almost like paint guns.
Yeah, Jon, I want to keep you on the line, but we're gonna just cut away from this for just a second. Stay safe. Don't go anywhere. If this gets out of hand, we want to come right back to you. But, Jon, we appreciate it very much.
No one seemed to get hit.
All right, David Hann is the former GOP chair in Minnesota. David, this is like ramping up 10x from what we thought it was 24 hours ago.
Well, it's unfortunate that Minnesota once again has become known for bad behavior. It was a tragedy yesterday. A person got shot and killed. But the real tragedy is Democrat failures of leadership in Minnesota. They have been, for the past year, telling people that the federal government is illegal. They've encouraged people to obstruct the law. They sow the wind and they reap the whirlwind. You can't keep telling people to obstruct law enforcement and not see bad things happen.
No, and Tim Walz has now, you know, you talked about it yesterday, but he's authorized the National Guard to support local law enforcement, but he's also ordered local law enforcement to not cooperate with ICE whatsoever. So are we going to have like the OK Corral here, or what's going to go on?
Well, they've been doing this for the last year. They've been telling law enforcement to not cooperate with federal authorities. Minneapolis has also passed ordinances. I don't know what they expect, why they expect good things are going to happen with this. If they were good leaders, they would be telling people in Minneapolis to stay home. Law enforcement's got a tough job enough already, and they don't need people in their face jumping on their cars, threatening them. They need to have people stay home, and they should calm them down. I get it. Some people don't like the law. There are ways to change the law. We're a nation of laws. They should contact their Congress people, Angie Craig, or whoever, and say, fix the law.
Yeah.
But you don't fix the law by rioting in the streets, and that's what they're doing, and it's shameful.
Yeah, David Hann, I don't mean to cut you short, but I appreciate you joining us. I want to go back to Jon Glasgow, who is on the ground right now. Things were just heating up. John, are the paintballs still flying?
Paintballs stopped flying, Carl. That was a little bit of a warning shot to keep the crowd back here from the ICE detention center. But clearly the crowd was getting a little raucous there for these HSI agents that just had enough. The crowd is, as I mentioned, they were right up against the fence at one point. They're now pushed all the way back on the other side of the road. But it appears these ICE agents aren't taking any flack from these protesters, given what we've seen here today.
Yeah, see that? I see that SWAT jacket, John. That seems like really dangerous to me when you got people wearing potentially law enforcement jackets. Who are these people? Like, do they look like a bunch of hobos and hippies, or are they normal people with like jobs, or what? Who are they?
Yeah, most of these are the first one, the hippies. A lot of them wear masks. A lot of them won't show their face. You try to ask them questions. You know, what do you stand for? And they don't even want to talk to you. They wear those K95 masks out here. They've been wearing them all day. They carry these signs, but whenever you ask them simple questions, they want nothing to do with the media, and they just want to sit here and yell at the.
John, do you mind walking over there and asking one of them, like, what do they want?
Or you get people that just sit here and park in front of the road and start honking their horn.
John, do you mind walking over there and asking one of them what they actually want? Like, what's their end result?
What their end result is?
Yeah,
sure,
what do they want?
That. Come on, Sean, I'll head on over.
Right. I got a little pepper.
Then I head on over.
But I'm okay.
Can we ask you a quick question?
Sure.
What brought you out here today?
I grew up in South Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I grew up in South Minneapolis. I work in South Minneapolis. Nobody should be shot by a federal agent in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like, we should be safe to just be at home.
Yeah.
And
what about disrupting, federal operations? Is that, should people be doing that as well?
well, if federal operations could be done legally and done fairly and correctly, where they're finding criminals, but as we can see by the numbers, they're not arresting criminals, they're not taking criminals.
They're taking one of me.
Yes.
I'm Somalian. The reason they came to deport me, because I'm an American citizen.
Right.
I
Well, then they
lived
didn't come to deport
25 years in Minnesota. It's my hometown.
Right.
But President Donald Trump, he hates us. He says, Somalia, go garbage. He doesn't want us.
Right. You feel you're being profiled then? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, it's all about profiling. That's why the chief commander of ICE, Greg Bofino, he came here. He's an immigrant too. He's Italian.
Yeah.
The president of Donald Trump, his wife from East Europe.
John, I wonder if she owns a daycare facility there.
And even the vice president, Jay Vance, his wife immigrant too. That's the reason they came too.
Right. Carl, is there a question you want me to ask there?
Yeah, ask her, does she understand the difference between here legally and illegally?
You know, America used to be
I think
nice,
I'm losing
not
you.
anymore.
Sorry, Carl. My IFB's kicking in and out here. One more time.
Now, ask her if she understands the difference between being here legally and illegally.
My host is just asking me. He says, the difference between being here legally and illegally, and Is there much of it? There's a difference there.
No, there is no difference. I'm U.S. citizen. They don't care. They will kidnap me and they take me to board. If they come here to camp for illegal immigrant, that's fine. But they are not here. They are here in Somali community. Majority Somali community, they are American citizens.
Right.
So who you going to deport for?
Yeah.
So this is they terrorizing the community because the president he's creating United States in Islamophobia
like a case
and
study.
racism. We don't have in Minnesota that kind of problem. We love everybody.
Is it a crime to come here illegally, though?
What do you mean, illegal? Or
Illegally, is it a crime?
I don't know about that. I'm very support if the crime who's are illegal, they have to arrest them and deport. I support that. But they are not here that. They are here only Somalian community, which I am. The lady who died yesterday, she was American citizen. She born in Minnesota. And now I'm going to be next to the one they shoot me. So I'm going to be next. So the lady they shoot yesterday, she wasn't illegal immigrant. She was U.S. citizen born in Minnesota.
Right. Should she have been impeding the officers from their operation,
absolutely, that's wrong. The officer killed her. She was just trying to tell the community, be aware the ICE is there.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's what she was
everybody
doing.
see that the ICE officer, he shot her. So the media, they creating narrative different way.
Right.
So absolutely what's happening is a disaster. The president is trying to divide us in Minnesota. Minnesota, we love each other, no matter where you come from, what color you have, what religion. But the
John,
like you
let's,
see the ICE, they are only me.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
discussing me.
Where
I
are you
appreciate
from?
it. I'm John from New York.
New York, which
thank
channel
you.
I'm going to watch?
We're live, so I'm going to send it back to here to Carl. Carl, thank you so much for taking a little more time in the show for us. There you go. That's right here from the people that are on the front lines. We'll get one last look here as we send it back to you guys here.
All right, thanks, John. Stay safe. Don't get hit in the face with one of them tear gas things. All right, this is absolutely huge. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton obviously filed a legal briefing aiming to hold groups in the operational U.S., including American Muslims and Palestinians and all these things, civilly liable under the Federal Anti-Terrorism Act, who are supporting a litany of things. Before I get to that, Mr. Attorney General, I don't know if you just got to hear this, but this woman is clearly a Somali woman there who claims to be there legally. She believes that Donald Trump wants to kidnap her and take her out because she's been told by the liberal machine that she's a target. If she's here legally, there's no problem.
That's absolutely right. And that's actually a little scary that she believes that and that she's being told that, and that's being disseminated to create fear and scare these people as if something's going to happen to them. If they're here legally, as she claims to be, then she's got no problems, but yet she believes just the opposite. It's a little scary that that's gotten into their heads.
Yeah. Now, you have this incredible initiative. You're saying there are going to be no more Islamic influence hotspots here in America. You said, this is America. We have our customs and beliefs and our laws, especially excluding things like Sharia law. Tell us more about what you're doing.
Yeah, so in our state, I mean, we certainly are our First Amendment. We believe in free speech, free exercise of religion. However, if you're going to establish a community that's based on Sharia law, not the laws of the state, not the laws of our country, not the Constitution, well, that's where we have a problem. We have no problem with people expressing their religious views and having their own private religious ceremonies. All good, protected under the First Amendment. But the Sharia law part of this is the problem. And that's the thing that a lot of times they'll distance themselves from and say, oh, this is all about religion, when in reality it's about following laws that are not our laws.
Yeah, well, also things like Epic City and things like that. You're doing, honestly, God's work down there. So, Mr. Attorney General, sorry to be so brief, but thank you for joining us, sir.
Yeah, have a great day. All
right. Well, let's bring in host of the Tudor Dixon podcast, Tudor Dixon herself, and a host of the Alex Marlow Show, also conveniently named Alex Marlow. So, Tudor, as Attorney General Paxton was just talking about, the Muslim hold on communities like Dearborn, Michigan, where you live. I mean, this is actually a concern because it's eroding customs and even laws that are written into place.
Well, certainly if you're trying to change the law from the American laws, then yes, this is a problem. And that's the problem that we've seen in many communities. I mean, we're hearing about this in Maine. We're hearing about it in Ohio. We're hearing about it in Minnesota, where there is a movement to change the law and have a community kind of outside of what the United States of America is all about. Folks that don't really want to become Americans, they want parts of America to become like wherever country they came from. That's not what we're looking for when we're looking for immigrants. And we do want immigrants to come to this country. So for people who are saying we don't, that's not true. But we want them to want to be American.
Yeah. No, 100%. But Alex, you know, here's another thing. When we're talking about American, when we're talking about doing things that are America first, and especially when it's already a win for America, the Senate clearly didn't get the memo, because today, in a 52-47 vote, the Senate advanced a war powers resolution to limit Trump's ability to do any type of thing like this in Venezuela ever again. Now, Trump putting 5 senators on blast, saying that Republicans should be ashamed of the senators that just voted with Democrats on this.
Yeah, and I agree with the president on this completely. And I'll tell you, if you think you're trying to hamper the executive branch and trying to limit federal power for the executive, for the president, I think this backfires completely. This makes the War Powers Act, which I think on paper is kind of pretty good, it makes it just seem totally frivolous and silly, because there's no way the president of the United States is going to think twice. To quote Tommy Tuberville, who's on my show talking about this, he's supposed to tell Eric Swalwell and his Chinese girlfriend before he takes out a drug lord in Venezuela. Yeah. That's completely absurd, and everyone knows it.
Yeah, I mean, it goes all the way back on this kind of stuff. But DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, Tudor, confirming that the U.S. Coast Guard conducted 2 more oil tanker seizures. One of these tankers, Tudor, was chased all the way up to the North Atlantic from Venezuela, came from Iran, all the way across the Atlantic, parked off the coast of Venezuela, changed its flag from Iranian to Russian, and changed its legal registration while on the way up there. They even painted a new flag on the side underway, and it was escorted by a Russian submarine. And people are up in arms that we had something to do with taking this thing over. Yeah, there's something fishy about that.
Absolutely. You've got the axis of evil working together. You've got Russia, China, Iran, and they are trying to pull South America in, and their focus of getting into South America has been Venezuela. They have been cozying up to Maduro, which is one of the reasons President Trump was so concerned about Venezuela. It is a gateway to the Americas. We have to protect our hemisphere. This has to be a very serious conversation. We have to make sure that China doesn't infiltrate the entire hemisphere or the entire continent of South America. We have to protect our country, but we have to also protect our seas. We have to make sure that these people aren't taking who knows what in these oil tankers. We have to be prepared for whatever that is, and I'm glad that we have a president who is paying attention to this. Yeah,
especially when it came from what may be a fallen state now, Iran. Alex, the other thing is, these guys, Venezuela, super cozy. Obviously, the air defenses that we took out prior to going in for Maduro were Chinese and Russian made.
Of course. And think about this. I just did this math today. As the crow flies, Miami is closer to Caracas than it is to Los Angeles. So if you want China and Russia infiltrating our hemisphere right on our doorstep, then fine, you can go condemn what Trump did. But none of us really believe that. We don't want China here taking that oil and using it for their purposes. We want America first foreign policy, and that sometimes means putting people on notice, particularly the other global superpowers who are infringing on our space.
Yeah, I mean, seems like basic knowledge, but you know what? Maybe common sense ain't too common. Tudor, Alex, we appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, more from Minnesota. Coming up next.
If you're in pain but need to stay mobile, you need CopperFit Rapid Relief, the revolutionary line of hot and cold therapy wraps that keep you mobile while you recover, no matter where it hurts. A breakthrough adjustable design with a soft gel pack insert in a lightweight copper-infused wrap for targeted hot or cold pain-relieving therapy of sore muscles and achy joints. If it hurts, CopperFit's got you covered. Get the full line of CopperFit Rapid Relief wraps, available at Walmart pharmacies.
Lara Logan here with some news for you. Men's testosterone levels today are roughly half of what they were 50 years ago. And after the age of 30, testosterone drops around 1% every year. Chalk's Male Vitality Supplements may be the answer for you. They contain ingredients clinically proven to boost natural testosterone production. Go to chalk.com and use code TV to get a huge discount. Or call or text the number on your screen today.
I still love to surf, snowboard, and of course skate. So I take Cunol Magnesium to support my muscle and bone health. Cunol's high absorption magnesium glycinate helps me get the full benefits of magnesium. Cunol, the brand I trust.
At Consumer Cellular, we only hire real humans right here in America.
That's why we're ranked #1 in customer satisfaction.
I wish I was human.
It's pretty great. Right now, get your second month free. Call Consumer Cellular.
This little light of mine has been dark for quite some time. Then I let in the light to help see more of the light inside of me.
I needed more from my antidepressant, so my doctor added Caplyta, proven to provide greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone, building on my progress without starting over. Weight gain and reported sexual side effects were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
Help see more of the light inside of me.
Jon trusts Prevagen for his brain, and this is his story.
Hi, I'm Jon, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. I've been producing and directing for over 50 years. It's a very detailed thing, and the pressure's all on me. My boss told me about Prevagen, and I started taking it, and I noticed a change. My confidence level is stronger. I've been taking Prevagen for more than 11 years. It just works.
Prevagen has been the #1 selling brain supplement nationwide for over 10 years.
What if you could invest in the growth of political campaign spending in America? Since Citizens United in 2010, election spending has surged, with the 2026 midterms expected to set new records. Fullpack aims to be one of the first NASDAQ-listed stocks in this industry. NASDAQ has reserved Fullpack the ticker, GOTV. Join top-tier investors and become a GOTV shareholder today. Learn more and buy Fullpack shares before they begin trading at GOTV.com.
All right, let's go back over to Jon Glasgow at this circus out there with a bunch of people that don't have jobs. Jon, it sounds like they're gearing up and getting a little more PO'd right now.
They are, yeah. Carl, they are. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Have a look over here. This is where the action's happening. The ICE agents are just hanging out here on the other side, right in front of the ICE detention center here. But you can see, like, they've got signs here that says abolish ICE, hands up for the families.
Oh, don't give me that hands up, don't shoot stuff.
Real quick here. Can we ask you a quick question there? What brought you out?
This is outrageous. I have not liked ICE for decades, and just the murder. Yeah. It's just too much for our city. I mean, I've been a long time Minneapolis resident, been here, and it's just, they're just terrorizing us.
Ask her if she's protested the fraud that's going on in her city.
My host just asked me a question. He asked you, are you protesting the fraud that's also happening in the city as well?
Right now, I'm protesting the presence of the DHS and ICE. Yeah. That's my main protest right now. I'm aware of the fraud. It's been going on for years, but I'm protesting right now them right here who are, kidnapping neighbors, murdering people who live in my city, just terrorizing us all, just making everyone, including like businesses, are afraid to be opened, just trying to ruin us just because, and it just outrageous to me.
Tragically, a woman lost her life yesterday. But what are your thoughts on impeding federal enforcement of their duties? And these are their people as well that are trying to do their jobs. What's your thought on that?
They shouldn't be here. This is just way too much. Nobody wants them here. Nobody wants them here.
Well, I want them there.
This is not. The entire city is mad. It doesn't matter what your political views are in the city. We do not want them here.
Yeah. Do you think, right now, immigration obviously is front and center, but do you think it is illegal to come into the country illegally? Would you want some of the most heinous criminals out of the country?
I disagree kind of with that. I'm more of an open borders person myself, so that's my own opinion. But, you know, I don't want them here.
Yeah. I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much.
Okay, and
appreciate it. I'm John. Live right here. Carl, I'll send it back to you. I know you got to get to our next guest, but thank you so much. Appreciate the time. Let's show Ross one more time what the scene is here outside of the detention center. There you go.
Okay. Well, thanks, John. Stay safe. All right, let's bring in host of Ungoverned on LFA TV, Shawn Farash, and Newsmax contributor Kay Smythe. Shawn, these people, I don't want them here. Why aren't you this mad about them funneling $9 billion out of your city?
Boy, did he pick a good one, right? Like, she said everything she needed to say for me to be like, what a moron, okay? First of all, I'm more of an open borders person. Second, this was one of my favorites. No, I'm not protesting the fraud because it's been going on for years. So you've known about it? You've been like, all right, we'll just let my money get stolen. Like, I bet you this is the same woman who would beat the snot out of a vending machine if she put $2 in it and didn't get a bag of chips, right? That seems like the type of person who would start calling the manager, okay, because something arrived 2 hours later than it said it was going to arrive on Amazon. But this person wants me to believe that she knew about the fraud, it was cool with it. There's no way, right? But open borders, I don't want them here. Well, like you said, Carl, and I'll join you, I want them there, and I hope they continue to enforce federal law because the city won't.
And if it upsets her, I'm even more okay with it. But Kay, you are a legal immigrant to this country. You had this Somali woman stand out there like, Trump wants to kidnap me. That woman says they're snatching people in the middle of the night. It's like, dude, there are laws in this country. How simple is it, Kay?
It's so simple, Carl, that when I applied to get my green card this year after marrying my very American husband, it took like 6 months until the physical green card was in my hand. And the only reason it took 6 months and not actually literally about 6 weeks was because we had to file extra paperwork because we have very weird non-standard jobs. We don't have W-2s because we work a lot. And I just, you know what makes my teeth itchy is that I have this horrible feeling that there's even more fraud going on where all of our tax dollars are probably paying that lemon, that stupid woman, to stand there and hold her silly little sign that's like, I have like feelings, but they don't really make like any sense and it's completely impractical and I'm just like really desperate for attention. And this is what you're doing for fun.
Shawn,
like, it's disgusting.
Shawn, I got less than a minute left here. These people are unemployable. Can you imagine having to like accomplish actual real tasks with someone like that?
No, I wouldn't trust them. You know, this is the type of person, this is how inept these people are, right? Kay said lemon, and you know, it's like that's what they call a car you buy that like falls apart when it comes off the lot. These are the people in the supermarket who go on the self-checkout and then ask for help. That's how bad these people are. They are among the folks that I look at and go, really, self-checkout, you can't do it? Maybe they should have worked a day or two in retail and run a cash register, figure out what to do. They're useless. They have no skills whatsoever, and I think Kay described her perfectly. Lemon, it's
Kay,
perfect.
Last 10 seconds to you.
No, well, thank you. I didn't actually know that's what it was. I just wanted to use a derogatory term that wasn't like a massive cuss word, because those are the ones that are flying around my head right now.
We got to leave it there. Shawn, Kay, we appreciate it as always.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
All right, coming up, the Trump administration is making America healthy again and telling you what I've been saying all along. Eat real stuff like meat. AG Secretary Brooke Rollins next.
What did our presidents know about UFOs? Presidential interest in these objects dates back to George Washington and included JFK, Carter, Clinton, Reagan, and more. Find out the truth. Watch Presidents and UFOs, The Surprising Story.
Don't kibble your dog.
Oh, hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, Matt.
But what's wrong with this? It's premium stuff.
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means it's ultra-processed at extremely high temperatures that destroy the nutrients in the food. But at Dr. Marty, we gently freeze-dry premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, locking in their nutrients.
Never kibbled.
You got it, kid, and they're gonna love it.
Do you have a yo-yo smile?
Sometimes yellow, sometimes white. It's a constant battle between everyday stains and whitening treatments. Until now, get Smile Actives, the daily teeth whitening breakthrough that gives you a more youthful smile and helps you keep it.
At 43 years old, I don't mess around with products that waste my time. Smile Actives is easy, and it works. No gloopy trays, no messy strips. Just add a little bit on top of your toothpaste when you brush your teeth. And ta-da, white teeth.
Just add Smile Actives to your favorite toothpaste and watch the magic happen. Our patented Polyclean microfoam lifts away deep stains for a dramatically younger and whiter smile.
You have a choice. You can have those yellow teeth and just be old Nana or Pop-Pop, or you can be smiling and dazzling and full of confidence. I love my white teeth.
Scan, click, or call for your whitest smile yet. And if you order right now, we'll double your whitening free. Get an extra Smile Actives as our free gift to you, but only while supplies last.
I drink coffee every day. I started noticing that my teeth were not as bright as I like them to be, a little dingy. The Smile Active, it works. Got your boy gleaming.
100% of users saw whiter teeth. Smile Actives lifts away even the toughest stains from coffee, wine, and food, gently restoring your bright, youthful smile. Plus, it's safe for veneers, crowns, and dentures.
It's really a no-brainer if you want to whiten your teeth.
Clinically shown to brighten your teeth 5 shades whiter in just 7 days.
If you could use something so easy like Smile Actives to take yellow teeth to white teeth, why wouldn't you?
Act now. Get Smile Actives for just $24.95 and we'll double your order free. But hurry, this deal won't last. Smile Actives is guaranteed to work. Whiten your teeth or get your money back. No questions asked. Don't wait. Get Smile Actives for just $24.95 and we'll send you a second bottle absolutely free. That's free shipping, a free extra bottle. That's an incredible 58% savings. Scan the code, go to smileactives.com or call to get your beautiful whiter smile now.
Not again.
Your cold is coming! Your cold is coming!
Thanks, Revere.
We really need to keep Zycam in the house.
Only if you want to shorten your cold.
When you feel a cold coming, shorten it with Zycam.
I wanted to have control over drinking instead of alcohol having control over me. I started with Or Health about a year ago. It put the brakes on that I had been looking for. I can drink less and say no, and it's the best feeling in the world.
Text Newsmax to 710-710 to learn more.
During the Omaha Steaks end-of-season event, save 50% site-wide and get our Butcher's Classic assortment with USDA certified tender filet mignon and top sirloin fillets for just $99.99. Plus, get 8 burgers free. Visit omahasteaks.com/TV today.
Our government has been lying to us to protect corporate profit-taking, telling us that these food-like substances were beneficial to public health. Federal policy promoted and subsidized highly processed foods and refined carbohydrates and turned a blind eye to the disastrous consequences. Today, the lies stop.
We're deep sixing processed foods in 2026. That was RFK Jr. making some big MAHA announcements for our food this year. So many good things came out of this, but the nuts and bolts of this is, I know this is going to be a radical concept for some people, but you should actually eat real food, not processed junk like chips and ho-hos. Brooke Rollins, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture. Ma'am, great news for this. I am ecstatic. However, do you think it's reached a point where we should not even remotely provide SNAP benefits for any type of food other than fruits, vegetables, and meat?
Well, here's the thing. By the way, great to be on with you. Thank you so much. The dietary guidelines is a partnership between Health and Human Services, which is Secretary Kennedy, and U.S. Department of Agriculture, which is myself. But I think our partnership has been historic and game-changing, and I think that just giving a big shout-out to Bobby Kennedy and all of his leadership in this. So, yes, we unveiled it. Time to completely change the trajectory of this country in terms of especially health of Americans. We all know we have the least healthy developed country in the world, and the back-end cost of that on health care is mind-boggling. I think 40 cents of every tax dollar being spent in America, period, is being spent on health care and the health care epidemic. So you go one step further to your question on SNAP and SNAP benefits. We would love to get to a place where if you are one of the 42 million or 44 million Americans on food stamps, that money can only be used to purchase healthy items. As you know, we've talked about on this show, we have waivers in 18 states. We're getting rid of all the sugary drinks and the junk food. We need states to apply based on the statute. But at the end of the day, the whole goal that you can eat a healthy meal with fish, beef, chicken, vegetable, whole grain bread, corn tortilla for between $3 and $4 a serving is really, that's what the numbers show. But what we have to do is we have to make it accessible. So many of our vulnerable communities don't have access to that kind of food. We're changing that in the SNAP program. More good news coming.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, look, we could take that $9 billion we just lost in Somali fraud and subsidize the beef industry. I'd be way more happy about that. And to your point about healthcare, I mean, we pay the most of healthcare of any developed nation, yet we are the sickest, with the only modern country with a lifespan declining actually post-COVID. 50% of Americans have pre-diabetes or diabetes. 75% adults have at least one chronic condition. 90% of healthcare spending goes to treating the chronic diseases, much of which comes from the unhealthy lifestyle, from the food pyramid that's been shoved down our throats for the last 50 years. I love this. Is there a way, though, to make sure that this sticks? I mean, we've seen this attempted before. How do we get people to actually want to be healthy?
Well, listen, here's the thing. This president is unequivocal and resolute in real change and blowing up the status quo, no matter what lane you're in or what the policy is. So he's given Secretary, as we know, which is amazing. This is a once in a lifetime, perhaps once in a country's history, pivot point, opportune moment where we are leaning in, we're running as fast as we can to change that. And I do believe this will do just that. We've got the new food pyramid we put out yesterday. We are going to be recalibrating school lunches, hospitals, veterans, et cetera, the $400 million a day that USDA spends on the nutrition programs. Think about what a market mover that is. And as Secretary of Agriculture, basically the big winners of this are the American people, Maha moms like myself with my 4 teenagers. I mean, they're the winners. But the next winners really are our farmers and ranchers, because the entire solution is based on real food produced locally, gotten to the plate immediately, and that's what this is going to be able to do. So I do believe long-term this will stick, and we're going to change the future of this country.
Secretary Brooke Rollins, we really do appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank y'all for having me. Have a great day.
All right, coming up, it's been 1 year since the start of the Palisades fire in California, but how many residents have actually been able to rebuild? Not many. Like nothing, almost. I'll give you a hint when we come back.
Muscle cramps were keeping me up at night, so then I tried Slowmag, the magnesium plus calcium supplement that helps relax tense muscles so I can rest comfortably. And Slowmag tablets have a slow-release formula that's gentle on my stomach. That's why I use Slowmag.
What if getting older didn't mean living with joint discomfort, brain fog, or low energy? Qualia Senolytic is the only all-in-one clinically tested formula with 9 ingredients designed to help your body clear aging cells. Taken just 2 days a month, this regimen works at the cellular level to rejuvenate energy and support longevity, helping you stay active and energized. With Qualia Senolytic, life truly gets better with age. Start today at qualialife.com/TV.
Affordable dentures and implants just got even more affordable.
I saw you strolling down the lane.
Schedule your free consultation at affordabledentures.com or call 1-800-DENTURE today.
Hi, I'm Ben Cozy. Isn't traveling a pain in the neck? You're cramped, uncomfortable, and forget about getting any rest. There's nothing cozy about airplane seats or hard plastic benches, and those so-called travel pillows, they just don't cut it. You don't need another travel pillow. You need Be Cozy, the world's most comfortable neck pillow. Trapped in the middle seat? Wrap Be Cozy around your neck to stop chin drop, bobblehead napping. Smashed up against the window? Fold Be Cozy over and tuck it onto your shoulder for super side support. Frequent flyer miles got you sitting aisle? Turn Be Cozy to the side for the perfect pillow position. Everyone wants to be cozy, so get the world's most comfortable travel neck pillow and be cozy just like me, Ben Cozy. You get to be cozy. Everyone gets a Be Cozy. Only Be Cozy has patented overlapping arms so you get double support and the comfort you need in any seat on any trip. Go online right now and get this exclusive TV offer. Buy one Be Cozy, get one 50% off. Get yours now.
You're careful about what you bring home when shopping, especially when it comes to feeding your family.
Shouldn't your investments work the same way? At Timothy Plan, we offer a wide selection of mutual funds and ETFs that can help you allocate assets without compromising your values. From technology to healthcare, energy to real estate, our funds are not only diverse but uncompromising to your values. Timothy Plan funds are filtered to avoid companies involved in abortion, pornography, human trafficking, and other harmful agendas. What you invest in should reflect what you stand for. Are your investments bearing good fruit? What's in your portfolio? Contact your financial advisor today to find out, or contact Timothy Plan directly at 1-800-TIM-PLAN to discover more. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Well, in other news, it's been 1 year since the Palisades fire destroyed thousands of homes, 13,000 to be exact. And how many have began construction? Well, 455 new residential building projects are currently in construction out of 13,000 that were destroyed. And how many are fully rebuilt? Less than a dozen. For comparison, I built my own house with trees I cut down and put on my sawmill by myself in 80 days. So it's not like they can't do it. They just won't do it. I warned you guys last year. I did a whole monologue about the permitting process in California. It takes forever. It took us 12 minutes to read all the permits. This is rebuilding hell. 80% of residents are still displaced. 70% of people who lost their homes still haven't been paid by insurers or have been flat out denied. And Newsom still has not released his report on the disaster. I mean, it makes you wonder, what is really going on over there? Jessica Rogers, resident of the Pacific Palisades Residents Association, mother of two, lost her home in the LA fires. And Jon Kahn, singer-songwriter, also lost his home in the Palisades fire. Jessica, this is insane that 12 have been completed, not even?
It's really difficult when you don't have assurance that it is safe to return back to the community and that people don't have an assurance for insurability. It is what we need. And honestly, our city and our state is not equipped. We need assistance from the federal government. The only support that we have gotten that has been incredibly helpful has been from our federal government. This is a disaster of the proportion that we cannot and will not properly rebuild without the assistance of our federal government.
And John, we're finding out now that the actual written fire plan, if national or state forests caught fire, were to, quote, let them burn.
Right. Well, I think there was a very interesting shrub that they were protecting on when the Lockman fire started on January 1st that made it difficult for them to put out the fire the way they could have, in the way they should have. And that along with the fact that there was no water in the aqueduct, the fire engines were in the station, or they were under maintenance. The only thing more catastrophic than these fires was the lack of leadership from the city and the state.
And Jessica, there was this huge concert. They raised $100 million called, the Fire Aid concert. That money was supposed to go to victims. Well, this week we find out that it went to, all these different consulting groups and left-wing pet projects and illegal aliens instead of you.
Listen, Fire Aid is an organization that got created right at the aftermath of the fire. This is not an organization that is equipped and structured for disaster. We have disaster organizations like the Red Cross, like Global Empowerment Mission, like Habitat for Humanity, who do disaster in and out and have been doing it forever. And they do it, and they do it well. Unfortunately, Fire Aid, as well-intentioned as they might have been, made incredibly difficult decisions that impacted us.
No, it's crazy. John, they promised, Karen Bass promised to loosen regulations. Gavin Newsom said he was going to get money. Everybody promised. Have you actually had any help whatsoever?
No, not really. The permitting process is beyond complicated. I think the insurance companies are probably the biggest problem, because if you don't know, first of all, a lot of people were underinsured, thinking there's no way this town would burn. A lot of people had their insurance pulled weeks before the fire. And those people that do have, any kind of insurance haven't gotten their money, and it's very difficult to plan your life if you don't know how much money you're going to get paid out and when they're going to pay it. So there's so many people in limbo, and that, along with the leadership and the permitting process, it almost feels like there's this force to collectively break the will of the people.
Yeah.
And I know there are a lot of people that are giving up, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, and then they tried to blame the whole thing on climate change. This fascist crap makes me want to puke. Jessica, John, I'm really sorry, but I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, before
We're
we
not
go,
gonna give up.
we got a ton more on this stuff on the ground in Minnesota. Don't go anywhere.
You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us, we're different. We report the real news, no spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmidt tonight on Newsmax.
My cell phone bill kept going up. I started looking around, what are our other options? With Consumer Cellular, I'm saving over $50 a month. Same coverage, same data, same talk, same cell phone, simple.
So why am I paying way more for a big wireless plan? What am I getting for my money?
Consumer Cellular gives you the same fast, reliable nationwide network for up to half the cost of big wireless.
Same tower, same coverage.
I feel like people should know that.
They cut my bill just about in half.
I'm saving almost $100 a month.
That's over $1,000 a year.
Not only did I save money, but our coverage was vastly improved. It was fantastic.
There's got to be a catch, and I'm going to find it by going straight to the CEO himself, Ed Evans. What's up, Ed?
Because we serve primarily the 50-plus market today, we know our customers are going to use a lot less data. We can then set our pricing substantially lower than what the big three are able to do on the exact same networks.
Oh, I love that.
My job is to help you save money on wireless, even if you're on an unlimited plan.
My bill with the big carriers was over $300, and with Consumer Cellular, it's about $100.
Our customers ranked us #1 in network coverage satisfaction. And there's no long-term contracts.
When I look at what I had with Verizon, I'm not sure what I was paying extra for.
And yes, you could keep your number, no problem. Want to bring your phone? That's great too. We'll have you wrapped up in about 20 minutes. Really.
We hadn't gone back. We're not going back. We're with Consumer Cellular.
Call now and see how one of our U.S.-based Switch Pros can cut your bill by up to half. That's right, up to half. And when you call right now, you'll get your second month free. Just use the code SECONDFREE. And AARP members save even more. Call 1-800-918-0560. That's 1-800-918-0560.
The FBI calls it house stealing, the latest scam where a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name and steals your hard-earned equity.
It's roughly 60 to 90 days for that person to even figure out that they're the victim of this crime. You start getting foreclosure notices, and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
Unfortunately, it's on you to protect yourself. You might already be a victim. Check your title status now at HomeTitleLock.com.
Lara Logan here with some news for you. Men's testosterone levels today are roughly half of what they were 50 years ago. And after the age of 30, testosterone drops around 1% every year. Chalk's male vitality supplements may be the answer for you. They contain ingredients clinically proven to boost natural testosterone production. Go to chalk.com and use code TV to get a huge discount. Or call or text the number on your screen today.
Whether it's care before or after school, or a sitter for date night, you don't have to hire just anyone. You can find a background-checked caregiver who's the right fit for you. Join now and find care at care.com.
Set sail toward fast asthma relief with Brethora.
$300 for a refill?
Don't pay that. Use Single Care. Look up your prescription, show the coupon to the pharmacist, and save.
See why more people are saving with Single Care.
All right, folks, Minneapolis is heating up. This is Washington, D.C., a live shot right now, people gearing up for all kinds of protests. I don't know what they think. Like, if I go out there and scream loud enough, ICE is just going to be like, oh, yeah, you know what? We should leave because this is not... I mean, Rob, did these people understand what ICE's job is?
This is such a small faction of the country, right? The people that are out there that do this, the people we saw during George Floyd, these are a very small portion of the country that makes a lot of noise. But the problem for the Democrat Party is that these are the most active voters that they have.
Yeah, we had
they pander to these people constantly.
Jon Glasgow was out there on the ground in Minneapolis, and he walked up to the Somalian woman and was like, she's like, I've been here 25 years, I'm legal. And she couldn't even speak English. We could barely understand what she was saying. It's like, you've been here 25 years.
25 years, yeah. I don't know what to tell you, but it's going to be a very interesting couple of nights here, I suspect. It's already looking like it's beefing up right now.
And it's uncharacteristically warm.
Yeah, it is. Carl, good to see you. Thanks so much.